For step 7, what we're going to do here is we're going to create a basic shape and turn it into an object so that way we can later uh, create a pattern so we can later apply that to our text for our next step. So to start things off, what we need to do here is that we need to select our, our rectangle tool. Now, with a one click, what we're going to do here is we're going to change our width and our height. We're going to set that to 15. 15 pixels in width, 15 pixels in height, and hit OK. Now, as you can see here, it is hard to actually look at our shape. So what we need to do, we're going to zoom in our on our square. So by hitting our selection tool, we're going to hold down our Alt key and hover over our square. And with the middle mouse button, we're going to scroll up to zoom in on that picture. Now, as you can see here, there's a stroke in here. What we're going to do is turn that off, get rid of that stroke. And also, we're going to change our color. We're going to set that from white to black. Now, in my swatches, I'm going to either apply into the swatches, either hit the black color, or I could put in 3 zeros, so that way it'll be completely black. And as you can see here, it applied it to my stroke. So what I'm gonna do is change that back out, and what I'm gonna do here is select my color, my foreground color, and change it out to black. Now, what we're gonna do next, we're gonna apply a shear to our square, so that way we give it a little more a dynamic look. To do that, we need to do is right click on our shape, go to our transform, and we're going to hit the option known as shear. So in our dialog box, we're going to keep for our shear angle set to 45 degrees. Make sure that our axis is set to vertical. Make sure we have our preview is checked so that we can see our end result right in our screen. And then once we have that set in place, we're going to hit OK. All right. So now what we're going to do next, we need to make a copy of this shape. So in order to do that, we need to reflect it. And to get to that option, we will go to Object, Transform, and select the option known as Reflect. Now, as you can see here, we need to actually have the option known as Vertical selected. Our preview is checked. And as you can see right here in our preview, we have the preview button checked. It actually flipped our shape. All right. So, and in here, we don't need just this one object flip. We need to have two objects. So what we need to do is make a copy of this. So if we hit the copy button, we actually have two instead of one. So, and then what we need to do is align these two so that way they actually forming a V. So we're going to click on our shape and we're going to drag it over till we get to the option known as intersect. Once you see the option known as intersect, that means it is perfectly lined up with the actual shape on the opposite end. So now we get to the point we need to merge these shapes together to they can form one. So now to get to this part, we need to hold down our shift key and then click on the actual object that is not selected. So that way we actually have both of these objects selected. So now we can actually combine them as one. Now the only tool in Illustrator that actually allows us to do that is the Pathfinder tool. So if you notice here, we have in our Align panel, we actually have our Pathfinder tool already here. Now, in case it is not there, if you don't see it in your Align, you can always go to Window, and then in the window, you can always select Pathfinder, and we have it right there. So now that we have both objects selected, now it's time for us to merge them together. So with the Pathfinder already in our display, we're going to go to our shape mode and we're going to highlight or click on the option known as unite. So by clicking on that, it actually unite the two shapes together. Because normally we actually see that there will be a line between separating these two shapes. By uniting them, we actually get rid of that line, so now they actually form as one. So now that we have our shape already created, now we need to turn it into a pattern. So to get it into a pattern, we need to go to Object, Pattern, and select the option known as Make. So as you see, I have me an option here. It's letting me know that I'm creating a new pattern and will place into my swatches. And as you can see right here, it's already been created. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit OK. And as you can see in here, it actually shows me what my pattern will actually look like once I applied it. Now, in my pattern options panel, what I'm going to do is call this one exact. All right. I'm going to leave everything else the same by default because everything else in here is already been done already. Because after all, the width and height is going to be at 30 because after all, we originally started out with 15 pixels width and height, and we actually double that by combining the two shapes together. So, so all we're going to do here is that we'll hit enter. Now that my shape or my pattern has been named, I'm gonna hit done from the top of my screen, and that way my object is now complete, or my pattern is now complete. So in the next video, or in step 8, what we'll be doing is we're going to take this pattern and apply it to our text so that way give it a more of a dynamic look.